The world of nutrition and wellness and fitness is confusing and overwhelming, is it not? It constantly feels like another thing is bad for you, like another thing you should be doing or you shouldn't be doing. And if you are confused about what's healthy anymore, should you cut out sugar? Is everything toxic? Is this the right decision for you? This podcast is going to not just give you the answer to that, but it's going to teach you how to make decisions for yourself. As that saying says, I'm not going to give you a fish. I'm going to teach you how to fish so that you can trust your own internal wisdom. So let's get into it.
Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in.
Hi, my friend. Welcome back to the show. I'm so grateful that you are here. If you're a new listener, we've been getting new listeners every single week. And I love that you are finding this podcast and that it's helping you think differently and really approach your relationship with food from a new perspective. That means so much to me, and I never take it for granted. And I have a really good episode for you today. So I love my members inside Food Freedom Academy because they always ask me such good questions, and they act as a great inspiration for this podcast, because I know that if they're asking me these questions, then you are probably having the exact same questions in your mind as well. And so a question that I got, this must have been about 2 weeks ago on our coaching call, was from one of our members. And I know that she listens to this podcast. So if you're listening right now, you know who you are. And she was asking the question around kind of, what do you do when, you're healing your relationship with food, and she's not overeating anymore. She's learning how to sit with her emotions and really process them in healthier ways. She's not using food to cope, to numb, to distract herself anymore, which is a pattern that she had for years, even decades. And that is a huge deal for her. Like, she's seeing how much progress she's making on having a different relationship with food, and she's feeling so good about that. And then there's this question around nutrition information. We'll call it that. So it's no secret that if you spend any time online, on the internet, on Instagram or Dr. TikTok, you're going to be thrown a lot of information about quote unquote good foods and bad foods, ultra processed foods, sugar being the devil. And, we live in a world where it starts to feel like there's no food that you can eat anymore because everything is bad for you. And so specifically, she was asking me about sugar, right? So she was saying, there's a lot of good information out there about what sugar does to your body. And I have health conditions, and so I want to be mindful of not triggering inflammation in my body and making anything worse. And so what do you do when there is good information out there, right? Around sugar, or it might be around alcohol. You know that I don't drink, so we can come back to that. Or, there are certain things out there that it is accurate information about it not being the best thing for your body. What do you do with that information? And so I completely understand why that can feel confusing and overwhelming for you, especially if, and if you're listening to this podcast, there's a very good chance that this is you too, that you have a underlying mindset of perfectionism, an underlying mindset of all or nothing thinking. So really think about it this way. Let's say that you are like this specific member inside of Food Freedom Academy. You've been making incredible progress on your relationship with food. You're no longer chronically overeating. You're able to process your emotions in healthier ways. Food isn't this crutch anymore. There isn't the restrictive thinking and the guilt. And at this point, you're eating in a way that is quote unquote balanced. So you're naturally gravitating towards healthier foods. You're nourishing your body. You're giving yourself food, fuel that feels good, but you're also allowing yourself the freedom of going out for ice cream with your daughter, or having that piece of cake at the barbecue, or having that cookie when you feel that craving. So you're allowing yourself to have those fun foods. And then there's that information that gets thrown at you that sugar is the devil. You should avoid it. There isn't any amount that's going to be healthy for you. And then there's that old little voice in your mind that says, well, this is accurate information. This is good information. And so should I cut out sugar? Should I not eat it at all? And so this is really the thought process that I want you to take yourself through, whatever the problem, question, or worry is. This is the thought process that I take myself through, because this is going to help you tap into your own internal wisdom, your intuition, and figure out if this is the right decision for you. And the biggest piece of this is helping you get clear on what would be the intention behind this action. For example, what would be the intention behind limiting sugar or cutting it out completely? What would be the driving thoughts and, most importantly, emotions behind this decision? So what is the thought process? The thought process is, what would happen? What would this decision lead to? So let me give you an example. There is a lot of talk right now around everything being toxic. Like everything is toxic. Everything in your food, everything in your cleaning products, everything in your creams and makeup, and like everything is toxic apparently. And I can be mindful that that information is out there. And is that information accurate? Maybe, probably, there's a good chance. And also, that information could be accurate. And again, I'm not one who's going to go down these rabbit holes of fact checking and really diving into every single ingredient that's in the products that I use on a daily basis. So I can be mindful that this information could be accurate. But does this give me an obligation to now overhaul every single product that I use in my life? No. When I tap in and I ask myself, what feels right? What feels right for me is to make small changes that feel doable and that are coming from a place of desire, not fear. So what I mean by that is I decided to slowly phase away from my plastic Tupperware and to buy glass Tupperware, because more and more I'm hearing about microplastics, and I can make that small change to be mindful of it. Same with progressively moving away from my plastic cutting boards to bamboo cutting boards, for example, or silicone cooking utensils. So those are action steps that when I tap in, I'm like, you know what? This feels good and in alignment. It's not coming from a place of fear or pressure. I'm not doing it because that's what everyone else is doing. And I'm not doing it because I feel like I have to. I have a few friends who they are the ones to, overhaul everything that they own, all of their products, and go non-toxic for everything. And that's wonderful. And that's great for them. But I'm just not there yet. And the reason is simply because if I were to do that, it wouldn't be coming from a place of genuine desire. It would be coming from a place of, I feel like I have to. There's a lot of fear around this. And it would feel stressful. It would feel super stressful to go and throw out all my makeup and to throw out my shampoo and to throw out my creams and all my cleaning products. I can be mindful that there could be toxic ingredients in those products, and I am still making the decision to use them because I don't live in a perfectionism mindset anymore. I don't think that I have to go from 0 to 100 because the more you behave in that 0 to 100 type of mindset, the way you do one thing is the way that you do everything. And so personally, I've had to get really good at living in the gray because if there is one thing that is going to be your biggest skill for consistency is not going to come from motivation. It's not going to come from discipline. It's not going to come from trying harder. All of that is only going to lead to burnout, and burnout does not lead to consistency. The biggest thing that's going to help you with consistency, whether that is food or movement or self-care habits or making changes to things in your life, it's going to be living in the gray, allowing some things to be good and moving forward and allowing other things to not, allowing some days to be great and some days to be just showing up. And in the context of food, it's allowing yourself to make efforts where you can. So that might be eating your vegetables or eating your fruits. If you're someone who feels really in alignment with buying organic food and it's within your budget and you want to do that, great and wonderful. But if it doesn't feel in alignment with you, if it's not within your budget, don't force yourself to buy organic because other people are putting that pressure on you to do it and doing it out of fear, doing it out of should. So going back to this conversation around sugar, for example, which is what our call and that question inside our Food Freedom Academy session was, I asked this member questions. So I asked her, right now, do you feel like you are eating sugar all day long? Do you feel like you're eating way too much sugar? She said, no, honestly, no. Like I eat it from time to time with my daughters here and there, but it's not like I'm eating it constantly. I said, okay, good. Next question. When you do eat sugar, that dessert or that ice cream, how do you feel in your body? Do you get these really bad reactions in your body? Do you feel inflamed? Do you get these massive sugar crashes? Like, do you feel these really negative effects in your body? She's like, no, I feel completely fine. I don't feel really different. I said, okay, great. Next question. If you were to start telling yourself that you need to eat less sugar than you already do, which is not a lot. You need to eat less sugar because there's information out there telling you that sugar is toxic and it'll cause inflammation and all of that stuff. Really tap in. What do you think would happen if you were to make that decision? And without hesitation, she was like, oh, I would end up binging. I would end up feeling restricted, and I would end up thinking about sugar more and craving it more. And then I would end up binging and falling right back into my old cycles. And I was like, there you have it. Right there. That is your answer. And so this is the thought process that you need to take yourself through. Whatever decision you're trying to make, you want to first tune inwards. Your body is so wise. Your intuition is constantly talking to you. And so ask yourself, what would be the driving intention behind this decision? Meaning, what emotion would this be coming from? Is it fear, pressure? That is a huge one. External expectations, a place of shoulds. Is it coming from guilt or anxiety? Because if that's where it's coming from, chances are it's not going to lead to a positive outcome. But let's say that you can't really decide on what the emotion is, then the next question you want to ask yourself is, what do I think will happen if I make this decision down the road? For example, you go to lunch with some family relatives, and one of your cousins or aunts or sisters or mom is on a new diet. Maybe she's been doing intermittent fasting and she's telling you about how good it feels, and she's losing all this weight, and she's telling you, like, you know, you should really try this. And then you start considering it. You're like, well, she's doing great. She seems happy. She's losing weight. So maybe I should try it. Okay. This is how I teach my clients inside the academy to really think. This is where you want to tap inwards and ask yourself, all right, where would that decision be coming from? Well, it'd be probably coming from a place of fear, right? Fear of not losing the weight. There would be an underlying restriction beneath that. And then just asking yourself the plain, simple question of, okay, well, what's the likeliest outcome if I were to try intermittent fasting? And being really honest with yourself. And this is where you can even use your past for evidence. And you will see quite quickly, well, chances are I'm going to start doing intermittent fasting and I'm going to be hungry all the time. And eventually I'm just going to start binging during that window when I'm allowed to eat. And I am going to feel miserable because I'm only going to have a certain amount of time in which I can eat. And again, this isn't for everyone. Not everyone is going to feel this way, but you might feel that way. And I know that because I would feel that way. So for example, there's people who in my life, mostly men, I think men do better with fasting because they have slightly less complicated relationship with food in their bodies. And there's a lot of men in my life who will fast for like inflammation reasons. So for example, one of my friends, he has an autoimmune disorder. And so he fasts during, I can't remember what the times are, in order to keep his inflammation under control. And it really works for him. And he doesn't struggle with it. He doesn't feel restricted or deprived, and he's not binging. And so it's really working for him. My brother, he'll do, oh my God, a few months ago, I think he went 3 days without eating. He was doing like a little reset for his body. I don't want to act like I'm a doctor here, but I have heard that it can be good in terms of like regenerating your cells and just good for kind of flushing out some things out of your body. But again, I don't think that it's something that you need to or should be doing every day. But let's say that you want to do a fast every 3 months and not eat for 24 hours. For some people, that is a great idea for them, and they will enjoy it or at least tolerate it, and it's not going to, for lack of a better word, F them up. But when I tap inwards and I ask myself, do I want to do that? Do I want to not eat for 24 hours, even if it might be beneficial for my body? The answer is categorically no. In big capital letters, bold, underlined, exclamation mark, no. That is what my body is telling me. Yes, it might be good for my body to do it, but I don't care. I don't want to not eat for 24 hours. It's going to be miserable. And some people out there might be like, yeah, but it just takes discipline, and great, wonderful, not for me. And so this is the whole message of this episode that I want you to take away, is that someone's decision that might be the right decision for them, they might be doing it from a place of genuine desire, and it might feel really good for them. It might feel really good to buy everything organic. It might feel really good to detox their entire home. It might feel really good to limit sugar or to fast. That might not be the right decision for you. And when you have been in diet culture for a long time, I was having this conversation with one of my clients yesterday, it teaches you not to trust yourself. Like, that is the underlying message of diet culture, is that you cannot trust yourself. You cannot make decisions for yourself. You cannot listen to yourself. And so this is a skill that you need to come back to. This is something that you need to focus on, that you need to strengthen. You need to pay attention to trusting yourself more, asking yourself more questions, not outsourcing your wisdom to people who don't know you, who don't know your body, who don't know your mind, who don't know your history, who don't know what works for you and what doesn't, what feels good for you and what doesn't. There's no one who will know that better than you. And so when you can start tapping inwards, asking yourself more questions. Well, does this feel right for me? Yes or no? Does it feel in alignment? Do I think that it's going to lead to a good outcome? Yes or no? And the more you do this, it's going to be so much easier for you to make decisions. It's going to be so much easier for you to come in alignment with what is meant for you, what is meant for you in terms of habits, choices, daily behaviors, the people that you hang around with. Because again, there might be people in your life who get along really well with others in your life. But when you tap into yourself, you're like, I kind of feel drained after talking to them or after hanging out with them. It doesn't feel good to maintain this friendship. That is your intuition. That is your own mind and body giving you information about what's in alignment and what's not in alignment. So I hope that this gave you a way of thinking, a way of asking yourself some questions so that you can make decisions that make sense for you. Because both can be true. There could be great information out there about a certain topic. Let's use another example, weightlifting. No one is going to deny here that weightlifting is great for the human body, right? Like, I'm not going to go and list all of the benefits of weightlifting. You and I, we both know them. This is such a good example. Let's say I'm talking to a mom and she has young kids and she is also working and she is spending her entire day running around, being a mom, being a worker, and feels like she has no time for herself. I'm not a mom personally, but I know that this is a stage of life that people go through where they're exhausted. Like they have no time for themselves. They feel like they're always in survival mode. And let's say I'm talking to this person and I'm saying, you should really start weightlifting. It's really good for you. That might be true. It might be true that weightlifting is really good for you. But talking to this woman who already has no free time, it would probably require her to wake up at 4 a.m. in order to do it, and then constantly be stressed, and her cortisol levels would be super elevated because she's not getting the amount of sleep that she needs to already. And now I'm asking her to wake up even earlier to start weightlifting. Would there be benefits to her weightlifting? Yeah, there could be, but would there be a cost as well? Yes, and it might not be realistic, and it might actually be more detrimental for her in this season, in this stage of life. And so what I would encourage this hypothetical woman to do is to ask herself, when you think about adding weightlifting to your life, how does that feel for you? Would you be doing it because you're like really excited about it? You think it's going to make you feel strong and it's really going to benefit you? Are you doing it from a place of genuine alignment? Or would you be doing it because you feel like you should? And now it's an added chore, an added thing on your to-do list. You're going to be even more tired, maybe more moody. You're going to have less time. Really take me through how you think that would impact your life. Would it be positive or negative? Would you likely end up burning out because you can't be consistent with it and you're even more stressed now? And I would have this hypothetical woman really ask herself those questions. In this situation, there could be good information about weightlifting being good for the human body and good for the mind, right? All of that fun stuff. And also in this stage of life would not be helpful for her, would not be beneficial, and would likely just lead to burnout. So really, really allowing both things to be true. And the last thing that I want to say on this, which is what I was also bringing up to my member during that coaching call, is that there will always be information out there about something that you eat not being quote unquote good for you. So when you approach things from a place of perfectionism, and we don't realize that that's what we're doing, right? When we're like, oh, well, I hear that sugar isn't good for you. And again, I want to say this, the dose is the poison. The poison is in the dose. Sorry. The poison is in the dose, right? If I'm having one cookie a day, it's not affecting my body. I can say that categorically. If I'm having 15 cookies a day, then we're having a different conversation. And so I really asked her, I was like, what is that point where you've hit that level of perfection that you're subconsciously chasing? Because let's say you try to limit that sugar. Well, at what point is it an acceptable level for you? Is it 0? Is it 1 cookie? Is it 2 cookies? Like, what is that acceptable level? And then even then, when you get to that acceptable, again, this is all in quotation, quote unquote, acceptable level for you, then what is the next food that you're going to feel like you need to cut out in order to improve your health? And then we just get caught up in the same old patterns that we just escaped. It can be a slippery slope. So it's so important to tap into, is this decision coming from a place of fear or is it coming from a place of love? I, for one, I've talked about this before. I eat very quote unquote what one would call healthy most of the time. And I still have my ice creams and my snackies and all of the foods that I love regularly. But I don't eat a large amount of them. And the reason why I was able to get to that point is because every decision that I've made for the past few years have been coming from a place of love. In the same vein, when it comes to exercise, I have a very good relationship with exercise. I move my body regularly. I don't have any guilt or anxiety about resting and not working out. And the reason why I've gotten to this point is because every decision I've made around exercise has been coming from a place of love, not fear. So ask yourself the question, would this decision be coming from a place of love or coming from a place of fear? And that, my friend, is how I will leave you on this episode. So I hope you got value from this. I love you so much. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful June weather. I have been spending so much time outside, and I want to remind you that as much as you can, be intentional about spending just a little bit of time slowing down in silence. This is what I did this morning. I was on my morning walk, and it was just a beautiful morning. It was like 7 a.m. The sun was rising. I was by the water, and I was like, I really want to just go sit by the water for like 5 minutes and just be. And I'm not listening to any music. I'm not listening to a podcast. Just sit and listen to the birds and listen to the water rushing and the dogs passing by, and just be. And all of those little moments where you sit and you allow yourself to just be, you are giving your nervous system this beautiful hug. So all of those moments, whether it's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes that you can take to just, hey, how can I plop myself, ground myself, bring myself to the present moment and just be here. This, you might not realize, but is going to benefit you if you're someone who eats to cope, to numb, to distract yourself, because all of that is coming from a place of nervous system dysregulation. So when you can take those moments, what they're called glimmers of slowing down and giving your nervous system this hug and saying, I'm safe, I'm in the present, I'm connected to the water, connected to the birds, connected to the people around me, that brings your nervous system into regulation. So that is my little piece to leave you on. I love you so, so much, and I will see you on the next episode, my friend. Hey, real quick before you go, if you're loving this podcast and you're thinking, Sabrina, I want more. I want to go deeper. I want a step-by-step process for healing my relationship with food. I've got a free workshop that literally walks you through it. It's a full breakdown of the exact method that I use to help my clients stop binging, heal emotional eating, and finally feel at peace with food and their bodies. It's totally free. So if you're ready to stop feeling obsessed and out of control with food, head to sabrinamagnan.com/training or find the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnan Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.